Alright guys, you hear the countdown going. It's because we're getting into the next series. It's going to be Socke versus Marsman. I would like to give a couple of special shoutouts though. Number one goes to Hard Revenge. This butt might not be subscribed to us on BaseTradeTV, but he is subscribed to, I believe, both of our personal channels. So he's an overall, we'll say, okay guy. He also just favorited all the tweets related to the co-op videos. I'm hoping and assuming he's taking the time to watch. But also to, who's this? Smart Shade D. New sub hype. Shade D. I see what you Shady. I see what you did there.
Are you did you or are you going to buy the portraits, by the way?
Yes, already did.
Me too.
Really
Which one are you gonna use though?
Snoots, without a doubt.
Really? Okay, I was gonna use the Terrans, either TY or Bjorn.
We'll talk more on that in a moment, actually, because I guess that's worth doing a bit of Blizzard advertisement for. But ladies and gentlemen, game number 1 in a brand new best of 3. The winner of this match will go on to fight against Eutherma, and the loser will fall to fight against Revolution. It is a WCS group style event, so there are double eliminations, so to speak. And in the top right, a little bit less known, but apparently, and according to Frank, like ready to fight, it's going to be the Orange Protoss Marsman. Which I think in English just translates to Martian.
Now is that Martian for Martian or is it French for Martian? In the bottom right, as the teal Protoss, he is Socke. What is happening to the... Oh, the bot's catching up.
Yeah, so I got the computer right. So someone suggested the weirdest fucking thing. I'll go over it in more detail later, but it worked. And the laptop's on, and I guess it was just a power-related issue. Yeah, so the bot's back, spam happening. Woo, hype. What were we saying before? Right, the portraits. So this is friggin' awesome. You guys, again, like I really hate that we're under like legal reasoning. We can't talk to you about more stuff that we know that happened at the summit. But things like these portraits, things like the microtransactions, and more cool things on the way to come. I think StarCraft is really setting itself to be on a good path for 2017. And whether your focus is on the multiplayer aspect of it, or maybe you're like me and you like co-op a lot more, you know, kind of casual play, or maybe you just like watching, you don't even touch the damn game anymore. Either way, it's really awesome. It's finally a way to support things. I don't think it's going to suddenly make StarCraft blow up like, you know, CSGO did with skins or anything like that. But the fact that I can get some cool portraits and know for a certainty that, like, even if 1%, it was only as small as 1% of the proceeds went to those players, it's still worth it in my opinion. Like, obviously it's more, and I can't tell you guys the numbers because I know the numbers because I talk to people behind the scenes, but it's absolutely going to be something that benefits players. And my guesstimate, if I had to take a random guess here, knowing the community support the way we do, what we've seen out of Kickstarter and the people who fund our events and stuff, I would guesstimate, like, honestly, a safe, probably $5,000 per player could be easily made through these portraits if even a small portion of the community buys enough.
Per player, that's a little... That may be a bit of it. I do, regardless of what I think, I guess, of the number, if I was going to throw out a number. I do wish or hope that they're going to announce what it is. You know, like for Dota, you can actually see the prize pool increasing every single time you buy a, whatever it's called, compendium.
By the way, I'm fully aware that 5K per person is shooting wildly high, but that's my hopes for this to be that successful. Like, it's something where I don't want to see this for every single event. Every single DreamHack, every single, like, IEM. I think that oversaturates it and makes it lame, but the fact that this is BlizzCon and it's super extra special, and the artwork is done by our good friend Nicholas as well, like... That
was really cool.
Yeah, super top-notch quality goes into this. In fact, I'm going to say it, guys, I think more quality went into this than the friggin' Nova Co-op Commander artwork.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't mind, like, one thing per tournament being something you can buy and add to the prize pool. If that, like, works out with the tournament, then great. But I do hope that BlizzCon gets, like, the biggest and the most opportunities to contribute to the prize pool. Because it is the, you know, the international StarCraft 2, whatever you want to call it. So I hope I contributed. I mean, I already pre-ordered the damn thing. I'll probably get it on one of my alt accounts, too. But we'll see.
Well, I don't know about buying for an alt account. I bought it definitely for the sake of support. And...
yeah.
Because I want to use Senpai's face. Good force skills coming down out of Marsman to try and push Socke back. Unfortunately, it doesn't quite catch the stalkers the way he needed to get those kills. And Socke has, of course, set up a slow but warp-in available pylon.
Excuse me, yeah. And this can sometimes happen. It's kind of rare to see that proxy pylon. Again, like, slow, what's it going to be able to do? But I think if you find your opponent is Frost, first do that, and set up, for a more aggressive attack, because he didn't actually get, 5 gateways. He's still only on 2, but he did pump stalkers out of it non-stop. That's why his Nexus is later. Then definitely throw on that pylon, especially if your probe lived, the scouting probe lives. The 2 stalkers, even if they come much later, can still be enough for someone who didn't invest the same way into constant gateway production. Now he has an immortal on the way, and Marsman's going to be fine to push out, unless Socke got like a sentry, but he's already lost the Nexus. It's exactly what Socke wanted to do, and now he certainly has a lead.
Yeah, PvP is so fickle with how expensive everything is. Everything counts just a little bit more, and that Nexus maybe would have been okay to lose if Marsman had been able to trade out and kill Socke's like 4 initial stalkers, for example, or just gotten some sort of trade for it. The fact that it is 100 resources lost to 1,000, it speaks volumes for what a PvP especially is.
Well, this really is quite unfortunate because like Marsman, not only did he lose the Nexus, but he stopped producing probes. So that either might have been because he knew the Nexus was going to go down and figured like what's the use of being oversaturated in my main base, or he was already planning to be aggressive with the Immortal, which can also happen in a PvP. You get 1 more Immortal than your opponent, you try and push in, they're trying to get Blink, that type of thing, and that could actually end the game really quickly too. We've certainly seen games end kind of... Why is my camera tilted weird? Okay, this is weird. Anyways,
what? I was listening to you mid-sentence, you just went like so ADD with that.
I am going so ADD with this. What the hell is happening? Anyway, the problem with this is that it's not 1 more Immortal. And there's, of course, Fortune Overcharges. The only thing he has is a lot of Sentries trying to be really fancy with his force fields. But now the Warp Prism is out for Socke to help mitigate that.
The range from those pylons as well when overcharged is going to well exceed the value that the force fields bring to the party. At this point, your best bet is probably Guardian Shield and hope to break, but there's still another overcharge. In fact, almost 2 available.
You gotta be careful of the force fields. I guess they both had to be careful of the force fields. But both also have the capability of using their Warp Prism for micro because of that pickup range.
Yeah.
Socke using it more than Marsman, however, and is certainly winning the fight and thus the war.
Yeah, it's really showing through this too.
A little bit of an overhit there, but as the adept numbers go out especially, that's when Marsman is really just going to plummet in army supply. That Warp Prism's quite bold, but there's no stalkers. Oh, Socke almost has Blink too, so he won't even... Alright. GG.
GG. Game number 1 gonna go to Socke. I gotta, just a small moment aside, because we obviously don't know Marsman too well, so maybe he's just having an off day, maybe he's a great player, bad player, etc. But Socke's really been on the upswing lately, and I kind of said it when we were looking at the group before, like I fully expect it to be Socke and Eutherma who get out of their group for this, but man, like he's playing better. I'm really liking to see, like for me, I guess this makes me kind of lame as far as like StarCraft fandom goes. I've been really enjoying watching a lot of these players grow, because we cast every fucking day, guys. We see these guys like every week type thing, where some of you probably see them once a month at most. I've been really liking watching Eutherma and Socke, watching how far they've grown and how strong they've become since they like basically got back into Legacy, or got into Legacy in the first place in Socke's case. Like, and for me, that's a lot more exciting than watching somebody who's already good just stay good. And that's, I feel like, part of, again, going back to that BlizzCon hype for the moment. Like, it feels that it sucks that these guys get what almost feels like robbed of 2016 with only their best chances going forward in 2017.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed. We get to see them come back into their own, or grow into their own in the first place. But that's kind of, I guess, why I would say Byun is like one of the fan favorites. Is not just because of his personality and the fact that he was teamless and wanted GSL and stuff, but that his storyline really has been improving from January. He's been playing the entire year, but he went from just participating in online leagues to barely not making it in the Korean leagues to barely making it, and then actually winning only a month ago in the GSL. Like, that is like the perfect ramp up to a storyline to build. It's, especially if he wins BlizzCon, he just got better and better throughout 11 months.
Yeah.
And had more consistent results. If it's not obvious, I'm going to be cheering for the Terrans, guys. And not just because they're Terran, but also because they're underrepresented. And
What, you got some kind of bias or something, girl? The
and I
fuck?
really like Korean. Sorry, I'm not gonna lie. If I'm gonna see TY, and it won't quite be like when I saw Boxer, but I'm actually more nervous to meet TY than Bjorn, because I think Bjorn is already so cool and chill.
Actually, so I'm trying to take like your personality, project it on like Kristen Wiig, and imagine her meeting TY. It's like, it's nice to meet you. Thank you. No, I mean TY. I mean that's your name. You know that. I know that. You know that. Hey, it's like, can you sign this, please? Like.
Like, why Kristen Wiig?
I don't know. It just comes to mind, like, because she's like, I guess the most awkward female I could think of, like when it comes to that sort of just generic awkwardness. I think it would be a good that it's almost like an SNL skit for StarCraft Night Live. Bad puns.
StarCraft Night Live.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Frozen Temple, by the way, is the lobby we're sitting in. Got everyone good to go? Yes.
Oh, yup.
Sorry, just responding to the admin, asking if we're ready to go too. So, game 2 of the PvP coming up. I do want to point out, though, this actually creates an interesting winners match dynamic. It's going to be Terran versus Protoss no matter what. Obviously, the question is you Thermo versus Socke or you Thermo versus Marsman. And I'm wondering if one of these guys does have a chance to maybe upset things. Like, okay, maybe PvP looks shaky for Marsman here, but he pulls it out and then actually is really good at PvT or something.
Yeah. I was gonna comment before I guess we talked about other things. BlizzCon, Beyond, whatever.
Wait a minute. Right? We talked about other things on
I know,
BaseTradeTV?
it's so weird. And actually, let's do the intros before we talk about other things.
Mind blown. In the bottom right side, we got the light blue Protoss. It is going to be the one and very German Socke.
In the top left, as the orange Protoss, he is Marsman. I keep wanting to call him Marmalade, but that's fine.
What are you, Paddington Bear? Like,
what was I going to talk about? Oh, the matchup, right? So yeah, we don't know much about Marsman. He could be nervous. He could be feeling being cast. He's actually like really high GM, and he's beat Socke before. We have no idea. But I would say that like, I mean, I don't have any valid proof, so like people will definitely disagree with me. But PvP feels like it is such a, like, we don't see it as often as the other ones for sure. As much European stuff we cast, we usually see Zergs and then Koreans or Terrans. But also I feel for even some of the Protoss players, like, it's not a matchup that they'll quickly or easily identify how their opponent plays. Like, I feel like you're gonna know what Snoot does in any of the matchups that you face him, because he's super popular, he's always on ladder, he plays on his online cups, there's like easily accessible VODs. I feel like PvP is like the least available to study for each opponent. So I really feel like sometimes, and I would have to ask the Protoss players if they find it to be true too, but it can be difficult actually, like, the first game, how in the world do they play PvP? That Frost game was kind of a standard one, I suppose. Like, there wasn't anything too freaky. It's not like these guys are playing, you know, hostile or something like that. But I do wonder if any of that had to do with it. Like, did Marsman have to get used to Socke? Did Socke get used to Marsman in that attack? But then again, Socke also just kind of... Socke controlled that game. I feel like if you're the controller in a matchup, then it doesn't really matter if the opponent does something weird or is planning on doing something weird. But I was just thinking about that because I know that Neeb, you know, he's playing tomorrow, actually. Oh, new sub. Thanks to Cautions.
Jesus, yeah? Go on. Neeb, you're saying tomorrow?
Sound.
What's happening? WCS?
Yeah, Neeb is playing in WCS tomorrow, and he has a group with 2 Protosses, and I would say that PvP is a really big help in him winning Kespa Cup. The way that he played PvP was so widely different than I think the Koreans were expecting, and I wonder if that can happen in any other matchup. Every other matchup feels like it's so studied and so figured out for every player.
And then, of course, if he wins this, does it come back to, well, he sure got bracket luck again, am I right?
Of course. But that's why when you brought up, like, if Marsman can pull this out, like, say he was just, like, figuring Socke out last game, and he's going to do much better this game, that PvT might go vastly in his favor, because we know that Euthermal has certainly a weakness there. But Socke is just going to try and do the exact same thing again here. He's got a proxy pile, and he's sending the stalkers forward. I mean, it worked last time. Hope it works again.
Maybe. But, yeah, not to underplay that. Thank you, Cautions, for the sub. New sub hype. Super appreciated. Not a side thought to a conversation. Also, it's a quick actual side note before we get into this. So I normally don't have your camera up a lot of the time, and your thing is flashing and it's distracting me. So I've had to very much intentionally hide it. I'm not sure if that's on my end or your end, but like it keeps. Yeah, it keeps. It's almost like it's. I'm not sure if it's turning on or off or what. I just noticed like a flicker every 5 minutes or so on the other monitor. So.
It's not doing it for me.
Well, maybe not at the moment. I'm just something to keep an eye on. We may have to restart the call afterwards because it's very distracting to me. Like even I've got it hidden underneath 3 windows and it still like puts itself on top of everything else when it does it.
Okay, we'll see.
Yes, thank you for hiding your face. It helps me greatly.
You're welcome. So here comes the attack, but Marsman, you know.
Did it again. Do you mind just turning it off? I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. That didn't help. Marsman should be at least mentally prepared for this, but as well, I think you got to scout in with the probe.
Yeah, that's actually really.
Stalkers to reinforce it.
It's really important that I think scouting PvP is vastly important. Not only in terms of like you need to match Nexus to your opponent's Nexus, but just knowing whether this sort of push is coming. Like for Socke's sake, if you get across the map and you see like one gateway, you're like, lol, have you played PvP in 2016, bro? You see 2, you kind of expect something, but if you see no adepts, that's I think the biggest sign that there's an attack coming your way.
If you see 2 stalkers moving out and a 3rd one following, I think that's like a really big.
Yeah.
There's 2 stalkers defending.
Nope,
That's
nope,
like
never mind. This is good force
Almost.
fields. Those are 15 and 12 health good force fields, I guess. One of the adepts did transfer to the main. No overcharge going on up here. In fact, he's... Whoa. Mothership 4 was dealing with it. Leaves it alone. Goes to the front line. Puts an unnecessary overcharge over here. And now goes from only losing 2 workers to losing 7 or 8. This was a massive mistake out of Marsman. Now Socke gets more adepts into the main, and this is going to hurt real bad. He's going to be on 15 or less probes.
It doesn't... So his counter that we saw last game will probably have a bit more potential to do damage because he lost...
Oh my gosh.
Actually, no, I don't even think that's true. Losing 16 probes, I think, is just game. It's like it might as well have lost a Nexus and then some.
Yeah, I think that's a little too much because the counterattack potential is not here. And by the time Marsman walks across the field, Socke will have easily bridged that gap. He's going to have pylons with a 200 energy mothership core, so force fields, combination overcharges. Marsman might just be out of this game. He's a dead man walking. He doesn't know it yet. At
least last game he was fully saturated on 1 base. This game, I mean, he can recover, and that's the good thing, but he certainly won't, like... His all-in does not have any more power than it did last game. In fact, it should just kind of look very similar to last, where Socke barely has his own immortal? Okay, that's a little bit later. That might be a little bit worrying, but he has such an overcharges, he has sentries. Yeah. He should be able to either buy time for it, or just scare Marsman away.
The other thing too is, first off, I think the sentries and the force fields are good enough. I don't think he'll need the actual immortal because the overcharges are going to be the damage that would otherwise be that immortal if he lock him in. But Socke actually gets caught with some force fields. That's what time Marsman got some. Is Socke going to try and put some of his own down to minimize these losses? He's still going to bleed out these stalkers, but very cautious to throw it on that overcharge. Not doing it just yet. Marsman not quite breaking Socke though, and this is the problem where now Socke is going to just start warping into depths, and those immortals become less and less dangerous.
Of course, one of the biggest problems for Marsman was that he didn't have a Warp Prism, and even if he did, he's, you know, spending 100 minerals every single time to reproduce probes, and just in general doesn't have that much income, so... I think Socke knew to be just, like, patient, cautious, and just having 3 more photon overcharges should be enough, and now he has his own immortals, too.
By the way, big thanks to GW Jones 82009. Thank you for the Twitch Prime sub, man. Can't believe this is still rolling in. Force fields go down once again, trying to cut off the ramp. The Warp Prism is actually adding a considerable amount of micro here to Marsman, but the army supplies don't seem to reflect that. Socke is fighting without all of his army. Some of it's on the ramp, and he's still not going down too much in supply. He's still sitting on 32. Meanwhile, Marsman is trying to get some probes back into it. He is trying to recover that macro, but he's been so far behind in income. In fact, where's that income graph? Oh my god, that just nosedive into Socke's corner. Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, Marsman... Sorry. I mean, it's not a bad idea what he's doing. It's probably the best one he has, which is to kind of scare Socke, like keep him from just building a 3rd base, for instance, while trying to get more probes.
Actually, yeah, so if that had been a greedy, like, if you were to soft contain, have taken a 3rd behind this, in other matchups, that would be the absolute perfect way to go about it. in a mirror matchup. But the hard thing about this is Protoss is, again, going back on that point, everything's so expensive. You really don't have 400 minerals in your back pocket to build another Nexus with this Marsman. That War Prism comes in from Socke finally, so these force fields won't be so bad. The overcharges, in fact, are perhaps too good, and Socke is definitively winning this fight despite being cut off with half of his forces.
Yeah, and he should be able to shade forward soon, too, because he's going to nothing but Adepts, and Resonant Glades he just finished, and all the force fields from Marsman are all gone. And that... Oh, he didn't even shade. Okay, well, that's still, I think, his game. Should be the fight in Socke's favor, even with the fancy War Prism micro. GG.
Alright, well, that's going to be the first couple of games. You can throw your camera up now, by the way. 2-0 and 2-0 back-to-back. Socke versus Euthermal in the finals of the group. Not super surprising. For those who have never seen Zombie Grub's profile picture before, you get a nice little preview of her face there. Yeah, whatever this flicker thing is, I think I'll probably restarting the call will fix it. We'll do that during the commercial break, because we will go to commercial break, but it's going to be the winner's match first. Euthermal versus Socke. This is also a matchup that I'm very interested to see, not just in terms of Socke's sake, but Euthermal's TVP isn't exactly his strongest either. So I feel like this could bring them down to even footing in terms of the fact that Euthermal should be the best player in the group by a large margin, but maybe not in this one particular matchup. But okay, we are going to go to a commercial break, as said. So stick around, guys. More of the Dutch StarCraft League when we return.